I figured out that she started Immersion in Ojibwe 90 years from when my grandma was taken to boarding school. And my grandma was the last language speaker in our family. So 90 years, that's the span of time between our daughter relearning the language and my grandma losing the language. My name is Agaton Howes, and I'm from Fond du Lac. My daughter Ami is in Misaabekong's class. We live in Sawyer, so it's a 35-40 minute drive, but we carpool with another family, so we're in the car about an hour to and an hour every to and from each day. So yeah, it's a trek. So we're like the furthest out in Fond du Lac. Well, I felt like this is something that is really important for her life, for her spirit, for her, and for our whole family. And I felt like this is an opportunity that we had to take. If we look back on our life when we're 80, we'll be like, oh, I'm so glad that we drove her to Misaabekong, or will we think like, oh, I'm glad I saved that other 20 minutes driving every day. I think that in the end of our life, this will be the decision that will be the best decision for her. And it's attached to so much more. Like learning the language it's not just the school. It's like for her, this is a chance to connect back to something that's taken from us. So it's I feel like it's something we have to sacrifice for that. Like we have to give for that. It's super important. And I wish my son would have had that chance. I would have did it for him too. I figured out that she started Immersion in Ojibwe 90 years from when my grandma was taken to boarding school, and my grandma was the last language speaker in our family. So 90 years, that's the span of time between our daughter relearning the language and my grandma losing the language. And so that when we were making a big decision to come here, and it was like we were going back and forth, and we were like, what do we really need to do? And I realized if my grandma can survive boarding school, then I can get up in the morning and drive my daughter to school. Like that's not that big of a sacrifice considering all they sacrificed for us. And so I feel like that was a big part of why we had to do it. To me, it's like if my grandma survived boarding school and was able to be a healthy parent somewhat to my dad was able to raise me, and I was able to learn a little bit of the language, but be in a position in my life where I can drive my daughter to a school like this, then my daughter could potentially raise her children in Ojibwe. Like that could actually happen. That's pretty incredible. So if we always are supposed to be thinking 7 generations apart, from my grandma to my granddaughter or grandson, that's like 6 generations of people keeping our language alive in a different way. That it's a big part of that's how I always think of everything, is like so much bigger than just me or just this one. We're just one link.